Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show was originally recorded on New Year's Eve, 2011, December 31st, and heard all over the country on the premier radio networks. This is episode 835. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. The Tech Guy, our New Year's Eve edition. Oh, we're going to have some fun talking tech today. Computers and the internet and cell phones and camcorders and MP3 players, home theater, all that jazz. So that list has to change now that we're heading into 2012, doesn't it? MP3 players? What were MP3, Daddy? What was a PDA, Daddy? What was it like? If you want to talk tech, let's do it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., you can use Skype and call us, and we do have listeners all over the world. Thanks to the internet. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number to call. So usually it's traditional, isn't it? Everybody's doing it. When you get to the end of one year and the start of another, even though it's, it's all just odometer time, right? Just the numbers turning over. It is a good opportunity to look back at the year that was and think about what happened and what it all means. Got to do that once in a while, just kind of reflect. And, of course, tomorrow, New Year's Day, I suppose, and I will be here. We will be live. We'll do the same thing. We'll look forward, though, to the year to come and what's ahead. That's a lot harder. I could pretty much do with absolute perfection what happened this year. But next year, no idea. No idea. I think, I don't know what the big story of the year was, and there certainly were a whole lot of big tech stories this year. Everything from HP and Yahoo just kind of struggling. The passing of Steve Jobs, that probably was the biggest story of the year. The failure of RIM, the collapse of RIM, the onslaught of the Android phones. If you look back, this was a very challenging year for us as a nation. Our economy and the world economies struggled, and yet tech, in many ways, thrived. Did very well. The passing of Steve Jobs, though, I think was important. Of course, it's just a man, and it's not an invention. It's not a world changer, except that he was a world changer, and maybe arguably more than any single individual in our history, brought technology to the masses and changed how we relate to it, changed how we use it. I think you can pretty safely say that Steve Jobs was a very, very key figure in all of this stuff that we talk about. So his passing is a big deal. We talked a lot about it when it happened, and I've reviewed the Walter Isaacson biography, which was, I thought, very good, very interesting, fascinating. We eulogized Mr. Jobs and talked about his contribution, but here we are a few months after his passing, and looking back at the year, and I think that that this was in some ways the year that his vision at Apple came to fruition, if you will. The apple fell from the tree, or was plucked. The iPad completely dominated this year, didn't it? The truly easy to use computing device. The iPhone dominated smartphones. And I was thinking this morning about it a little bit, and something became, I think, kind of clear to me. And I don't mean this in a completely bad way. The big companies of this year were Facebook, which this year reached 300 million users. just a mind-boggling number. Apple, absolutely, which dominated both the tablet and the smartphone space. You know, it's funny. Apple for years couldn't win on the desktop, so they just changed the playing field, didn't they? Google, which not only continued its dominance in search, but showed some sparks of life with a new CEO, Larry Page, the founder of Google, replacing the man they'd brought in 11 years ago, Eric Schmidt, to run the company. Larry said, "Well, I guess I've learned now how to do it. I can do it now," and he immediately canceled a dozen products, reorganized the executive suite, and pinpointed the most important 6 areas for Google: social, mobile, local, video with YouTube, search, of course, advertising, and said, "This is what we do." I think Apple and Google, though, are the interesting... Well, Apple, Google, and Facebook. Let's make those 3. Eric Schmidt himself said that the 4 horsemen of the technology industry were Google, Apple, Amazon, and Facebook. Not Microsoft, but Amazon and Facebook. And I think Amazon had a very big year, too, with the Kindle. But Apple and Google, I think, are kind of the polar opposites here in terms of how technology companies run. Big, giant, enormous companies. Apple, the most valuable company, at least on the stock market, the most valuable company in the world. I mean, that's mind-boggling. That's what they passed Exxon to become the most valuable company in the world this year. So you can definitely say this was the year that Steve Jobs' vision, after 30 years, really, I'm glad he got to see that, got to see his baby really grow up. But there are Google says their motto, they say, whether they live it, I don't know, but they say is don't be evil. I believe it when they say that, by the way. Those guys, where they came from, what they wanted to do, they wanted to change the world. They didn't want to be, they don't be evil. Now, Apple, who also wanted to change the world, Steve Jobs said, we're going to change the world. Never said don't be evil. In fact, looking back and reading the book and thinking about Steve Jobs' life, the truth was he was a shark. This guy was, you wouldn't want to go up against him in a negotiation, would you? I mean, he will win every time. It wasn't about, for him, it wasn't about good and evil. He never saw it that way. It was right and wrong, maybe. But it was very black and white. But he didn't think about, well, is this evil? He said, what's good for Apple is good for the world, right? And but you gotta be a little scared of a guy. It's one thing to be a shark when you're the little guy, the 5%. It's another thing when you're the 95%, and you're still a shark. And it's kind of hard. At this point, we're looking at a real battle between Google's Android operating system. On the one hand, their phones are going crazy. Everybody's buying them. That Google said that on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day last weekend, 2.75 million Android phones were activated in 2 days. 2 days. Way outpacing, of course, the number of activations of Apple phones. But I don't think anybody should count Apple out at this point. In fact, when it comes to a company that is a shark versus a company that says don't be evil, I think the shark's going to win. And those lawsuits that Apple's been filing against companies that make Android phones, they won the first one against HTC. I think they're going to win more. I think it's going to be more and more difficult for any company to succeed in a space that Apple decides it wants to own. And this next year, we'll talk about it tomorrow, it looks like Apple might start to take over TV. But they were big winners this year in smartphones, and I think with the success of Android's still, coming on strong, number 2. They were the winners in tablets. Facebook is an interesting story this year, reaching 300 million users. They changed the way they look. You would think, I talked about this when it happened, you would think if you were a company and you've got 300 million users, you are the fastest growing company in the world in history. You're doing everything right. You're worth billions of dollars. You're run by a guy who's 27 years old and still owns a third of the company and has this intense vision about what he wants that company to be. You would think you'd stay the course. This was the year Facebook changed how it looks completely with a timeline. Talk some more about that. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. Let's talk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's the big story of the year, isn't it? It's got to be. You know, this morning they announced, the Queen. You know, the Liz, the English lady. She's your queen too, isn't she? You're in a common, yeah. We have a visitor from Australia in the studio. Yeah, she's your queen too. They released the New Year's honors, which they do every New Year. And Johnny Ive, the designer at Apple, who is a Brit, was knighted. We now have to call him Sir Johnny. Maybe we'll have to call him, is it Jonathan? Sir Jonathan. That sounds better, doesn't it? So congratulations, Johnny Ive. I think he deserves it. If you know, one of the things we learned from the Isaacson book was that Steve and Johnny Ive, the designer at Apple, the guy who designed the iPods, the iPhone, all the latest Macs, had a very close relationship, and that nobody could say no to Johnny Ive. Johnny Ive reported to one man and one man only. That was Steve Jobs. He was, you know, and that's kind of cool in a company. I think that's unheard of, where to the technology company, the designers are top dog, not the engineers, the guys who designed the box. Usually it's the other way around. The engineers design the guts, and then they go to a designer and say, hey, can you put a box around this? And that's why computers, kids, look the way they do. Let's go to Ontario, Canada. Line 1, Anthony. Hello, Anthony. Leo, Anthony, you're going to ask the eternal question.
Yes, actually, I'm on for my husband, actually.
Oh, Mrs. What's your name?
It was Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. Anthony couldn't hold on, huh?
Yeah, well, no, he actually came in for me. He's just in the middle of doing something. But the question was actually for myself.
Oh, good.
But I'm just looking for a cell phone. So I'm not really good with technology. Just kind of learning about it. I still have the old flip phone.
So this is your first. This is going to be your first smartphone.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know what kind to get. Something that's affordable too and durable. I mean, it doesn't have to have everything, because like I said, I want something basic, but something that can kind of do a few things, something that's easy to use and affordable. So
you know, it's funny because you're going to go from 0 to 60, no matter what I say. There is no kind of any more. There was briefly, but there really aren't any transitional phones that are, you know, kind of half smart. What you're going to get, and this is important to understand, that really what's going to happen here is you're getting a computer for your pocket.
Right.
That's the shift that you have to make. People think you're getting a phone with some additional features. You're not. You're getting a computer for your pocket that can make phone calls sometimes.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
But if you think of it, if you recontextualize it that way, that makes it a lot easier to decide what to buy, because now you're thinking, well, I want a computer. You wouldn't say, oh, I want a computer that can just do a couple of things.
Right, right.
You're going to buy a computer. You might as well get a computer that can do whatever you end up wanting to do with it.
So it's either all or nothing.
Yeah, you have to go from 0 to 60. You know, the closest thing to an easy-to-use smartphone are these new Windows phones. And I like them well enough. I think they're very elegant. They're easy to use. They're pretty. But
right.
they're kind of
easy.
They're easy, but they're kind of limited. And here's the problem. There's a learning. Look, you're going from a flip phone. There's going to be a learning curve. Nothing you know, not one thing, not even the buttons that you push to make a call will translate to this new thing. It ain't a phone.
Right.
So you might as well just learn whatever it is. And if the problem with learning the Windows phone is, well, then you've learned, you know, an easy-to-use phone. But I think you're going to end up wanting something a little better. So I would you know what, bite the bullet and get the iPhone.
The iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my husband was saying between the iPhone and the Galaxy, and I really don't know what's the difference.
I love I'm an Android lover. I admit it. I love the Galaxy, but I'll be honest. The Galaxy and Android phones in general are more for tech enthusiasts who like to mess around and want more freedom.
No, I don't need
No. iPhone is straightforward. It's simple. And what'll happen is, again and again, Catherine, you're going to come up against somebody's going to say, oh, you've just got to use Flipboard. And you'll go, oh, that's great. Oh, but it's only on the iPhone. Oh, you've just got to try this or that. And you'll say, oh, that's great. And it's on. All your friends will be on the iPhone. I would guess that's the case. Do you have friends who have smartphones?
Yeah, everyone's always texting and BBMing, and I'm like, well, just call me on the phone.
Well, you are in Ontario, so BlackBerry is the kind of the home brand, but I wouldn't recommend a BlackBerry at this point. So those people who are BBMing won't be BBMing much longer.
Right.
Do friends have BlackBerries? Is that what most of them have?
I don't know what to have, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I would say I think it's just
my husband has a BlackBerry, but he actually wants to give it to me, and I don't know.
Ah.
He's going to get a new iPhone, so I'm like, well, I don't know, because he ended up buying me an iPod for Christmas. An iPad.
Oh.
Which was great.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. You already have an iPhone. It just doesn't have the phone capabilities.
No, he bought me an iPad.
I understand. iPad is just a big iPhone without the phone.
Yeah, which was great, and it does all these neat things and the games for the kids. But I'm like, well, if you're going to spend that kind of money, I need a phone.
Well, okay. So now there's no question. Get an iPhone because you've already bought apps for the iPad. Those are the same apps that'll be on the iPhone. You might as well just get the iPhone. It's a baby iPad.
To be honest with you, I returned the iPad.
Oh, okay.
Just because, well, I'd rather spend the money on a phone.
Yeah.
And
Did you like the iPad?
Yeah, it was great.
Well, you'll love the iPhone. It's the same thing. It's just little.
And then at least I can use it as a phone.
Right,
too,
and it's a phone, and you keep it in your pocket or your purse. And the only thing, if you get it really close to your eyes, it'll be as big as the iPad.
Right. And my husband's sitting here wanting me to tell that he wants to convert everything over to the Mac.
Yeah. So you're gonna. Anthony's already got an agenda. You go. If you're going Mac, get the iPhone, get the iPad, get the Mac. Go ahead. Just go. This is why the Sharks beat the Be No Evil guys, because see, this is the sharky thing about Apple. It all is an ecosystem. It's a system. It all is complete. And notice it's complete in the same way that, a submarine is sealed in and complete. Everything is inside. You don't dare go outside the Apple sphere. And it's all pretty and shiny, as Beatmaster says in our chat room. It's all so elegant. It's like Disneyland. It's like Singapore. It's perfect because it's ruled with an iron fist. And that's why Apple will win. In the long run, I think Apple's going to win because they are totalitarian, and it makes it easy for everybody. You don't have to think. And I think, Catherine, you will like the iPhone the best because it's easy, it's straightforward, and it's increasingly becoming the brand. Now, from a political, and I wouldn't impose on Catherine my politics. From a political point of view, it's a terrible thing. It's Singapore. It's a closed, totalitarian regime. It is not free. It's not open. But the trains, they run on time. You cannot deny that. And that's the secret of its success. Thank you. Enjoy your new phone. Enjoy. The People's Republic of Apple welcome you with open arms. Kim Jong Jobs says, come on in. The water's fine. And then we'll just close the door and lock it behind you. But you won't notice because you'll be so happy staring at your shiny new little device. And I say that with tongue-in-cheek because I am sitting in front of an iPhone with an iPad and a MacBook Air and an iMac. As Steve said about 400 times in his last keynote, it all just works. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
No billboard here, Leo.
Who is this?
It's Zoe Deschanel.
Oh,
and,
yeah, this
Joseph
is
Gordon-Levitt.
This is the girl and a guy or whatever they call themselves.
Yeah. New Girl.
New Girl. No, that's the show. But the name of the band is like.
12 o'clock at night, welcoming in the new year.
She and him.
New Year's Eve.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Zoe Deschanel, I love her. But she's made just like an entire career out of being cute. That's it.
It works.
It works. She's not like a great singer. She's a good actor. She's not a great singer. But she's cute. Leo, I'm just jealous. I wish I could make a career out of being cute, but no, I have to talk about tech, you see. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. And we had Ontario, Canada. I think people think when I say at the beginning of the show, 8888 Ask Leo, if you're outside the U.S., toll free in the outside call, use Skype. People think, oh, come on, Leo. Nobody's going to. So we got Canada. Now let's go to Sydney, Australia. How about that? Mark is on the line. Hi, Mark. Or I should say good day.
Leo. Happy New Year from 2012.
Yeah, you're already in the next year. So how is 2012?
Not much different from 2011 so far. Really, pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. So it's morning in Australia? Sunday morning?
It is. It's 6:30-ish. Pretty much, yeah, 6:30-ish.
So I take it you did not stay up to ring in the new year last night?
I did. Unfortunately, I was working, so I'm just on the way home at the moment.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
It doesn't matter.
Well, welcome.
It doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world.
I'm thrilled that you called. Thanks for listening, Mark.
Now to the sort of like bad kind of news. I've had problems with my MacBook, and the hard drive has become flaky, and has come up with smart errors. So the good news is I've backed up my contents. I've got that off, and I've been in the process for a while of moving all my content to the cloud. So I'm moving all my old emails to Google. I'm backing up my photos to Flickr and Google Photos. And I'm using Dropbox to store pretty much the rest of my documents.
But, this is great. This is great. That's why someday in the future, no one will ever lose any data because we'll have copies, everywhere on the internet and on, that's great. And actually, what's interesting at this point is you're continuing to use this flaky hard drive because you're not worried about your data.
I'm replacing a hard drive anyway.
Let me just say one thing about Smart. I just want to say one thing about Smart. This is the technology built into hard drives. It's some acronym that is not what you think it is. I would say, something like System Maintenance and Recovery Tool. It stands for Self-Monitoring Analysis and Reporting Technology. And it is useless. It is useless. My big problem with Smart is exactly what you're experiencing is, first of all, most Smart drives die without a whimper, without saying word one, like I'm going to die. They just go, I'm dead. Smart gives you no warning. And then what you often get is what you're getting, which is a lot of warnings. But do you know, is the drive going to die? We don't know. Smart is not, your drive could be perfectly fine. You're just getting Smart errors.
Yeah. But I've taken the precaution anyway. I've also got a Mac Mini, which I've got Time Machine running on now. So I am.
Yeah, the good news is the hard drives are cheap. So yeah, if you feel like it's why take a chance? Although you could do like they did in 2001: A Space Odyssey when the Hal says, "Well, I suggest we just put the unit in and let it fail." You could just wait and see because I bet you that hard drive never fails. But the warnings are annoying. So what the hell?
Exactly. The question I have is, because I'm using so much stuff in the cloud, is it worth using another backup service like your Carbonite or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, well, here, let's use Flickr as an example. You put all your pictures on Flickr. It is not unheard of for Flickr, for random reasons, just to delete all your pictures, to say, hey, you violated our terms of service. You don't really control those pictures, is what I'm saying. You violated our terms of service. Your account is dead. And I've actually heard of this happening to people for really kind of unaccountable reasons. Just Flickr just says, yeah, sorry, and boom, you're gone. So it depends where you're storing this stuff. I guess my rule of thumb is still the same. One copy of something is not a backup, no matter where it is.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have at least 2 copies, and my friend Peter Krogh, who is kind of the king of backup, he wrote the Digital Asset Management book, the DAM book. He says you got to have 3 copies of everything. You can have an original and 2 backups, 1 local, 1 off-site, something like that.
So something like a Time Machine backup, as well as a copy on the local hard drive, and then a copy on Flickr and Google Photos.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I do. I've got pictures on Picasa, Flickr, and SmugMug. Now, even if I lose one account, I'm not going to, Now, if the internet goes out, like
then we're in trouble.
Then we're in trouble. But you know what? Your pictures are probably the last thing you're going to worry about if the internet goes out.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be more worried about being able to talk to my friends all over the world.
Exactly like us. We're on the internet. So you obviously have the right idea. Apple's got this iCloud solution, which is, I think, another way to go. Now, the Apple iCloud solution is a little different because they have built a big server farm in North Carolina, a big network operations center, and it's a backup. It's intended to be a backup solution. Presumably, Apple's, and I would expect this from Apple, is doing the right thing. They've got multiple backups of your data, probably, I would hope, in multiple locations, and so you could kind of trust it. Same thing with Carbonite. Same thing with Amazon S3. These are intended to be cloud backup, right? So that's different than Flickr, which is a service that you're kind of assuming is going to let you access your photos forever, and may not, because who knows what Yahoo will do. Maybe Yahoo might, there's a rumor that Yahoo's going to be bought by the Chinese, by Baidu, the Chinese search engine. And then who knows what happens to your photos. Maybe Baidu decides, photos, schmotos, or whatever the Chinese equivalent of that is, right? So, but I think, so basic rule of thumb, Mark, 3 copies. And
cool.
At least two of them in different locations. He calls it 3-2-1. 3 copies, and if he's a photographer. So if you're a photographer, let's say you're a wedding photographer, and you take pictures of the bride in all her glory, you can't lose that picture because they're not going to stage the wedding a second time so you can take that picture again. Your business relies on this. So they pay very close attention to this. So this is what he says, 3-2-1. 3 copies, 2 different kinds of media. So they're not all on a hard drive. I got 2 hard drives. And one may be a hard drive, one may be internet or DVDs. 2 different kinds of media. And then the most important one is one of them is off-site. That's the term backup mavens use. It means it's not in the same physical location as the original. And that's if there's a fire, and you don't want your backup sitting next to the computer because everything goes. So that's 3-2-1 backup. I've talked about this before. He has a website that he did with the Association of Professional Photographers and the Library of Congress called, it's a kind of weird name, dpbestflow.org. It's Digital Photography Best Workflow. So it's just kind of shortened DP, Digital Photography Best Flow. .org. And if you look at the back, and by the way, it's about workflow for photographers. So if you're into photography, it's a great site, really great site. But there is a backup area there that you can read his 3-2-1 backup philosophy, and I think it's well worth reading if you're concerned about saving your data. Speaking of North Carolina, Jay's in Providence, North Carolina. Hi, Jay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, earlier this week I had a store identify an LCD TV as an LED TV. I told them that I wanting to the shelf about the LED, and just now caught it. I've got that TV on as we speak, and the thing I'm concerned about, ordinarily I would just return the thing, but I'm not.
It's both.
Do what?
It's both. It's an LCD TV that's lit up by LEDs. So you got an LCD. I'll explain what that means when we come back. It's a good thing. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
We were watching TV.
That's how we spent most of 2011.
Watching TV.
You know what's weird?
She wore a white bandana that said freedom.
We're going to see this again, aren't we? This is Roger Waters, of course. We're going to see him in, when is it, April, John, we're going to go? The whole company's going to see Roger Waters' The Wall. Again. But that was from Amused to Death? What do they call that? Amused to
Death.
Amused to Death. Yeah. Watching TV. They're all watching TV. Well, the reason it's interesting is because you would think that if you just, if I asked you, do you think people were watching more or less TV in 2011? You'd say, well, I'm sure less because they're watching YouTube or... No. Television viewing hours went up this year. I don't understand it. I really don't. But we are watching a lot of YouTube, and we're watching a lot of TV. If you count screen time total, that's all we do. That's one thing, the smartphones have really changed, and I think this was the year that it really flipped. Text messages through the roof. But you go anywhere. Go to a restaurant. Half the patrons are staring at the little tiny smartphone. We don't talk to each other anymore. We text. This was the year, I would say, that all changed. Anyway, we were talking to Jay in Providence, North Carolina about LED TVs. You came to buy an LCD TV, you went home with an LED TV. It's the same thing. So, in fact, all the good LCD TVs are now LED backlit. And I know it's very confusing, and I wish they wouldn't call it that, but they do call them LED TVs. It's still an LCD.
Wait, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I came home with an LCD. I told them I wanted an LED.
Ah, so you got now. Do you know how it's backlit?
It is, from what I understand, it doesn't have the LED that is the model number. Going to the manufacturer's website says that it is not considered LED, but I don't know.
So those are fluorescents they use, and it's the same. You know, this for years. That's how it worked. The LED is better, I'd say, for a number of reasons. First of all, they last longer. They're I think more uniform in their lighting. Originally, LEDs were put behind the entire screen. You know, the way an LCD television works, a liquid crystal display, the liquid crystal is a shutter that opens and closes depending on how they're electrically charged. So the LCD part of the panel needs to have a light behind it so that it can open and close, and you can see the light coming through it. And you'll see red, green, and blue light mixed together to make full color. That's how an LCD works. So we need a backlight for all LCD panels. And you can, you know, for many years they were lit with fluorescent tubes, usually on on the edges. Then for a brief period we had LEDs all the way behind them, and that really was nice. I mean, you really got good results by doing that, where even colored, blacks, it really looked nice. But it was very expensive, so now they're all what we call edge-lit LEDs, and the LEDs are around the edge of the tube, and then they use some sort of reflective system to get the light coming back from
Do you think my using it as a monitor on a Mac Mini is going to change my needs in terms of LCD or LED?
No, because you've been using fluorescent backlit LCDs for years. Many of your computer monitors probably still are. It's only in the last couple of years we have LED backlit. Do you notice a difference?
Well, actually, my current monitor, the monitor before, believe it or not, is an old CRT.
So already it's a big improvement.
You can see, for moving stuff, yes, but for text, you have to get a really long way away, and I can actually see some variance in lowercase letter thickness on certain text.
Now that's probably because the resolution of the TV is not as high as the resolution of a computer monitor. So as you know, TVs they're not designed for you to be sitting, at arm's length from a television set, especially these big ones. You're expected to be sitting 5 to 10 to 15 feet away. So the resolution of how big is the display you bought?
Well, it's a 40-inch. Also, it's 1080p, which I selected that on the Mac Mini as well as on the TV, and got 8 feet from it, and can still see some lowercase letter thickness.
So, well, I'm looking at my Mac monitor right now, which is a 27-inch, and its resolution, its native resolution, and this is what you're inquiring about, is 1920 by 1200. At 27 inches, you've got something probably very similar, maybe even a little bit lower, at 40 inches. So when you get that big, right, the pixel sizes get bigger. Same number. Remember, it's the dots per inch that you're looking at. How many pixels per inch on that display? So the bigger display, this is very confusing, I know, to people, but a bigger display, this is why generally we don't recommend using TVs for computers, unless you're planning to sit across the room. You're running the computer as a home theater system. But if you're using it for word processing or text or reading the web, where you really want the text to look good, a 40-inch display, a 40-inch television is not going to be good at arm's length or a few feet back, because the pixels per inch are too low. So what you can do the math for yourself if you want. I mean, this is 1920 by 1280, but it's 27 inches. Yours is a 1080p, so it's probably close to 1920 by 1280, but it's 40 inches. That's more than twice the real estate. So your pixels per inch is half as many pixels per inch. That's why you can see the pixels. So in general, this is why computer monitors aren't 40 inches. It would be very expensive to make a computer monitor with the resolution that you'd like so that you could have it at arm's length. So if you're doing word processing or surfing or whatever, it's just not going to look as good on the TV as it is on a computer monitor. What you're going to want to look at is the native resolution of the display, the actual number of dots, and then the size of it. And I think probably minimum DPI or pixels per inch would be kind of 72 to 90. More is better. So you could do the math. If I had a calculator in front of me, I'd do it for you, Jay. But that's the issue. Scott in Jasper, Georgia. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Pretty good. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. You too.
I'm calling today because I want to talk about what you've been talking about, which is this revolution we call the iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
I've got my very first one for Christmas, and I am just loving it. I'm also blind, and I've got to tell you what a revolution this is for the blind community.
Yeah, I hear that again and again. Apple's just done a stellar job of what we call accessibility, making it easy to use for people who are differently abled.
Yes, absolutely. And there are two particular apps I want to bring to your attention that help a blind person. One is a money identifier called LookTell, where you take a picture of the bill and it tells you what it is.
Yeah, I was just in France and I was noticing every bill is a different size.
Mm-hmm.
And in America, they're all the same size.
Yes,
if you're blind,
it's a problem for us. It's coins, we can do coins easily, but bills, not so much.
They're all identical from the point of view, from a blind user's point of view. So this thing is basically a scanner.
Yeah, you take a picture with it, and it tells you what the bill is. And with the
cool.
The iPhone 4S camera is so good, it's really fast.
Well, these cameras on the phones have gotten so good that now banks, a number of banks, will let you take a picture of a check to deposit it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Isn't that great?
And then there's one other one. It's a free one called VizWiz, which allows you, a blind person, to take a picture of a household item, such as a box of cereal, and using the internet, you can go out and find out what that item is.
Oh, wow. And Google makes a Google Goggles program. It's not specifically for blind people, but it will do the same thing. You take an image of something, and it'll find it for you and give you a price.
I'm finding every day I sit and I find a new app that's just, just
cool.
blows me away.
Well, putting a good camera in these things, I mean, that really makes a difference. If you think about it, you've got a small portable device with a lot of horsepower, a lot of processor power, and good software, and you've got a great camera. Boy, that's a nice combination. There's a lot you can do.
Yeah, and it's having, like you said, a little computer right in your pocket.
Right.
And the GPS apps on this, help me with navigating my hometown.
Isn't that great?
And it's just, it's been amazing. Now, if I can only get my blind wife to adopt it as well, but she doesn't care for technology the way I do.
I think I heard her in the background go,
yeah, she didn't know. but I've got a particular question about iMessage.
Yes.
My 12-year-old daughter has an iPod Touch, and now that I've got an iPhone, all of my messages are showing up on her iPod Touch, and sometimes I'm having conversations with people that I'd rather my daughter not see.
Yeah.
So is there a way to change that behavior, or
yes.
do I just have to use SMS on my iPhone?
Well, here's the thing about the iPhone. It will use, in SMS, it will use iMessage if it's available. So we're going to have to take a break, top of the hour. Just listen on the air, Scott. I'll explain what's going on and how to fix it in just a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, hour number 2 of our New Year's Eve 2011 episode. Phone number is 8888 Ask Leo if you want to join the fun. Ask a question, make a suggestion. We were talking about hard drive costs. Because I said last hour, just get a new hard drive. They're cheap. And the chat room, wonderful chat room, by the way. You can get there yourself by going to the website, techguylabs.com, and clicking the chat link. The chat room, they're kind of like a Greek chorus in the show. They're just there. They're just annotating everything I say. Said, What are you, crazy? The hard drives are so expensive. So my studio manager, John Slanina, did a little printout. He says, we go through hard drives, we do video on our podcast network, and we do about 40 hours of video a week. This show, for instance, and all the shows that I do, you can go to iTunes and download them and all that stuff. If you search for TWiT, TWiT on iTunes, you'll see all the stuff. Or go to the website. It's all there, too. So for archival purposes than anything else, we actually make 2 recordings, one high-quality recording, which our editors use to then put out the podcast. And then we do just kind of a backup H.264 recording on the hard drives in our switcher. And so we buy these 2 terabyte hard drives that we use from Hitachi. And we were going through one every week and a half, every 10 days or so. And I think we've lowered the file size a little bit, so now it takes us about a month to go through them. But we buy them by the dozen. When we first started buying these 2 terabyte Hitachi hard drives, they were $115 when you buy them by the dozen, which is just mind-boggling. I mean, it's 2 billion bytes. That's 2. Individually, they'd be still $115. Okay. Then, because of the floods in Thailand this year, this was a year of natural disasters, just incredible. And they do impact the costs of technology because it turns out, I didn't know this, but apparently most hard drives are built in Thailand. So they went from $115 earlier this year to $225, which is still, by the way, a great deal for 2 terabytes, but, almost twice as much. They're now down, I'm looking at newegg.com, which is where we buy them, and they're now down to $170. List is the same. It's still $300, but... So there was a kind of a temporary shortage, but I think those prices will go back down. And then it's just mind-boggling to think we're complaining about the price of hard drives when that isn't a massive amount of storage for nothing. We used to talk about how many dollars per megabyte a hard drive cost. Hard drives were $10 a megabyte. How much? That 20 megabyte hard drive that you had, John? $600. $600, so it's $30 a megabyte. Now we're talking, I don't know, what it's $170 for 2 terabytes. Do the math. It's less. It's a lot less. How much a megabyte is that? I can't. It's 0.00 something, right? It's such a low number. I don't even. It's a rounding error. It's really kind of amazing. Now, Newegg does have 3. I'm seeing Sybil in our chat room. See, the chat room's great. Sybil says you could get a 3 terabyte drive on Newegg right now for like $120. So I guess we're buying the wrong drives, John. We buy these because this is the manufacturer of the switcher we use recommends these. Yeah, they're probably, it doesn't have a 65 megabyte cache. So this is interesting. So this hard drive, this 2 terabyte hard drive, the cache in the hard drive is 3 times bigger than the $600 hard drive you bought. But that was 20 years ago. So times have changed. We were... There's a great, and if you've not seen it, I highly recommend it. It's on YouTube. Search for Louis C.K., and he was on Conan O'Brien, and he was talking about how spoiled we are. I'll tell you what, I'll play a little bit of that. I'll find it. I'll play a little bit of it when we come back after the break. How spoiled we are now. We just take this all for granted. Anyway, I was talking to Scott in Jasper, Georgia. Scott did a smart thing. So he has an iPhone. And his daughter wanted to message her friends and so forth. Or I don't know, what did your daughter just wanted an iPhone, but, you got her an iPod Touch, which has all the capabilities of an iPhone minus the phone.
Well, she's actually had the iPod Touch, so that was last year's present for her. And this year I got my iPhone, and I started texting, and then she told me after a couple days...
Daddy, I'm seeing your text.
Yeah, I'm seeing your text.
That's because she and you have the same account. She's using your iTunes account. So
Okay.
It's easy and free to set up another account. And here's the best thing to know, which I was very relieved. You can have multiple Apple accounts on the same device. So so the Apple Store, for instance, I know why you set it up that way, because you want her on the Apple Store to be using your account.
Right.
Because it's your credit card,
and it also makes purchases easier.
Right.
Having it tied to just the one credit
and
card.
You continue to do that. This won't change that. You're going to go into the settings and set up an account, a separate Apple account for messaging. That's all.
Okay. Sounds simple.
And then that way you won't see her messages and she won't see your messages, and that's the way it ought to be. Yeah, Apple's very, actually, after I said all these bad things about Apple last hour, Apple is very generous about these apps and even about music. You can have, the entire family can have iPhones or iPod Touches on a single account. And when you buy an app for yourself, everybody on that account gets a free copy. So it's true also on the Apple App Store now. There's a limit. I think it's 5 computers, 10 devices, something like that. But that's usually enough for the whole family. So they're pretty generous that way. But you just have to remember, it's all to an eye to get you into the Apple ecosystem. So they own you. They own you. You are ours. Alan, San Diego. That's how Sir Johnny Ive talks. Hi, Alan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you doing today?
I as well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's great to speak with you. I really like your show quite a bit.
Thank you.
I had a question about maybe about getting any devices out there or software out there that can change like a PDF file or any kind of like a Word document into an audio format.
Yes. Yes, now on the Mac you can do it with the built-in capabilities. It has a text. Do you have a Mac or Windows?
Windows.
On the Macintosh, you have built-in text-to-speech, and you just say, read this document, and you can actually put it in iTunes. And I know people who actually have it all set up with scripts so that they're like podcasts. They can have all their documents read to them on their iPod. I'm not sure. I'm sure you can do this easily on Windows. There certainly are. There certainly are programs that will do this. There's a website, HearWho, HearWho, that's browser-based, that will make an MP3 file out of any text.
Okay.
So it depends on if you want to automate it and by the way, they're using, which is nice, they're using the very high-quality AT&T natural voices. We've talked about these before. The better, there really are better voices for this. Listen, this is an example of Julia, digital voice, Julia. It's really...
Hello, my name is Julia. HearWho is an online application that will work with your internet browser.
So it sounds pretty good. If you like a male voice, you could have Alberto. I wonder if he sounds Italian. Hey, Alberto. Are you Italian? What do you sound like? Alberto? Speak to me. Speak to me.
Mi nombre es Alberto.
Yeah.
Estoy disponible como una de las muchas voces del
Oh, he speaks Spanish. So they have different voices for different languages, so that they have the accents. So
Hello,
that's...
my name is Mike.
Thank you.
HearWho is an online application.
Okay, Mike, bye-bye. That's HearWho, HearWho.com. But I'll tell you some apps that'll do that, too, in just a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, now see, I got caught up in playing with the voices on the Mac, and I didn't do my research. I was going to find some other ways. This Say Who is actually pretty cool. It will give you an MP3. You can upload a PDF, a text document, and it will read it to you, and then you download a PDA from it. It's all web-based. HearWho, rather. HearWho.com. I think that's pretty cool. And I don't see a price on this, but oh yeah, there is a subscription fee for a year, but it's not very expensive. I think that's kind of cool. And there's other software that will do this. So it's easy to find software that will convert it to speech using, and I would recommend these AT&T natural voices. These are very good. There are a variety of very good voices. And the Mac, for free, if you go to the system preferences on your Macintosh, and I think this is... on some Macs, it's certainly on Lion. It may not be on all versions of OS X. But ever since the Mac came out, they've had a variety of voices. And if you look at at least in Lion, if you go to the text-to-speech section of the speech preference pane, you'll see a whole lot of voices you can download. Go to the Customize button, and you'll see you can check the voices that you want. And if you download them all, it's gigabytes of voices in every language under the sun, practically. Russian, Spanish, Swedish, Thai, Turkish, Polish, Japanese, Hindi, Hungarian. I think that's a testament to Apple's commitment to what we call accessibility, the design of the computers so that people, for instance, who can't see can hear the text spoken to them in a language that they understand, with an accent that makes sense. So there are a number of ways to do that on Windows 2, and I think this Hear Who is a good start. Alan in San Diego, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Alan.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
Well. How are you?
I'm very well.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you, too. So this Hear Who site you were talking about...
you're the guy I was talking to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one way to do it. Now, you have to pay a subscription fee. But I think that there are, maybe the chat room could help me here. Are there programs for Windows that will make it easy for me to say, take a whole folder? This is what I'd like to do. Take a whole folder of Word documents, PDFs, or text files. Drag that folder. This is what I want to do. Drag that folder onto the icon. And then sometime later, have a folder full of MP3s of that text. That's what you want to do, right?
Right, because I won't have access to my computer. I'm getting deployed overseas, and I want to have something I can listen to on my iPod or an MP3 player to listen to these documents I have.
Right. There is a program called Microsoft Reader that is free, or it used to be around for a long time. I hope it's still around. It's their text-to-speech package. Is it now built in? Maybe it is. But if you search for Microsoft Reader, you'll find it on the Microsoft site, and that does that. And it may be that they now build... What version of Windows do you have?
Vista.
I think it's now built in. Is it? Chat room, I'm asking you. They also suggest something called TXT Sound. Where are you getting deployed?
Afghanistan.
All right. Well, good luck, and thank you for your service. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, stock up on podcasts, too.
For sure.
You're going to have a lot of free time. You can be listening to them. You know, not just music, books, podcasts, and I think it's a great idea to convert the text. It was one of the things that Amazon did right with the Kindle. They built that in. It was kind of a sad story. They built that into the Kindle. So you would buy a book on the Kindle, and you could have it read to you in, a somewhat robotic voice, but still pretty good. And you know who got upset? The publishers. They got all up in arms saying, oh, no. Oh, you're undermining our revenue model with audiobooks. Now, I got to tell you, the audiobooks you buy in the bookstore, you download from audible.com, they're much better than a computer voice. They're professional readers. They're actors. They have human voices. They act out the story. It's really a value add. I think it's crazy to turn off the text-to-speech. I mean, you're buying the book. It's got the text. If you decide you want to turn it into speech, isn't that up to you? Anyway, they went to Amazon, and sadly, Amazon backed down, and they put a little switch into the system that a publisher can say, this may be read or not. And most publishers have flipped the switch so that, unfortunately, what was a great feature, especially for blind people, or just, anybody who's driving or whatever, you could buy a book on Amazon, be reading along. Oh, I'm going to get in the car. You could turn on it, and it would continue to read to you while you drive. Wouldn't that be great? Thanks, publishers. Good luck, Alan. We're very grateful for your service to our country. Good luck out there. Saul in Redondo Beach, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Hey, I got my early Christmas, late Christmas, I should say. I get to talk to you twice in less than 6 months.
Wow. That's great. Well, I'm glad.
Well, first of all, I followed your recommendation for ESET, not 32, and I'm quite impressed. I'm very happy with
They're
it.
a great company and been a great sponsor of this show for years now.
I used to have another manufacturer, the N-Word, and they were just growing too fat and just too... It took too much of my-
They were bloated. Bloated. But, you know, I blame us for bloatware. I mean, it's true, and it's true across the board. Even, you know, Microsoft Word, the word processors become bloatware because we demand, we read these reviews in the magazines and we see the tables with the check boxes next to features, and people often decide. In fact, they'll put it on the back of the box when you go to, I was going to say CompUSA, but whatever the computer store is these days, when you go to Fry's and you look and it's on the back of the box, here's, you know, a table of features in the check boxes. And so we kind of demanded more checks. And so they put them in, but what you got was a giant bloated program that did more than you ever wanted and slowed your system down. So you're right. I think Nod32 realized that, and they made it very simple. The good news is I think all of the antivirus companies have finally realized that the bloatware is not what we want, and they're starting to get a little bit less.
And also the manufacturer a little bit of fault. They come preloaded with a bunch of a bunch of bloatware, like you
Right. Oh, I hate that. You buy a computer from
way.
HP or Dell, and it's got 100 different icons on the desktop. That's a moneymaker for them, of course. They charge all those companies for those trial.
I removed all of that immediately from the very beginning. The moment I buy it, all of that goes away. AOL, Symantec, everything just wiped out.
Why would I want AOL? Come on.
Anyways, my other question is, I have Zone Alarm subscription for years.
Yeah, it's Zone Alarm for a long time. We recommend. In fact, going back to the days of Tech TV in the early 2000s, we were big fans of Zone Alarm. It was a software firewall.
Because of that.
Yeah.
I got it because of your recommendation.
And
from
talk about a company that lost its way with bloatware.
Holy mackerel.
Holy
now,
mackerel.
Now it's coming to an end, my subscription. So I want to know, do I still need a software firewall really through my system nowadays, or is there another?
What version of Windows are you using?
XP Professional.
Yeah, ever since XP Pro, although even better in Vista and Windows 7, the built-in Windows firewall is just fine. I'll give you the caveats in a second. Let's see. Back to the phones. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. And, of course, the website is techguylabs.com. Thanks to James DeRuvo, who has all year long been scribbling down everything I say and putting it on the Tech Guy site. And we really are grateful to you, James, for doing that. techguylabs.com. This 2012 will be the year that site finally gets its long-awaited redesign. And the ability to comment and add stuff to it, because I know, at least in the chat room and probably many of you at home, there's great answers that we aren't able to capture all the time. The chat room's there at the website too, techguylabs.com. Just click the chat link, and you'll join the 500 or 600 people in there who are chatting along. 738, close. Chatting along. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to join us. That's what Aaron did from Tustin, California. Hi, Aaron. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I just thought I'd make perhaps a suggestion for the new Tech Guy site.
Yes.
Is, for each individual caller, have like the time code or some way built in that we would be able to just click and listen to the audio for just that call.
I'm on it. That's exactly what we want to do. What we want to do is, it'll be almost like a blog, but each question and answer will be an individual blog post. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll have a transcription of the question and my answer. Then we will have a YouTube video of the question and my answer, all queued up. So you just press the button, you can listen to it or watch it. And then below it, I want to give people a chance to add their 2 cents. And so we'll have a commenting system, and part of the commenting system will have something, sometimes it's called karma, where people can vote up or down a comment. So over time, what will happen is the best answer from the commenters will float to the top. So you'll see them not in chronological order, but in vote order in karma points. And so the best answers will float to the top. And then my idea is at this point, that now is a pretty good resource. Somebody asks, what's the best television? You've got my answer, you've got the video of it, but then you also have the comments with the highest ranked comments up top. So all of that is in process. We're actually searching for a company or a designer to work on the site and get it up and running. And I would say within the next 3 months we'll have that for you. And I think it's going to be a big improvement. Then the next project will be to translate all of the. This is now episode 833. So we'll have to get that all those 800 shows plus shows translated over, so it's all there. We'll have a nice search, and by the time we're done, you'll be able to search for almost any topic and find some good answers. So I want to make it a resource, in other words. So thank you, Aaron. You're absolutely right. We want to do that.
Yeah. I just thought I'd briefly touch on Windows 8. This is my question, but I will say I loaded Windows 8 onto my netbook back in September or October when they first opened it up for the technical preview.
Yeah.
And my netbook, of course, doesn't have a touchscreen on it, and I was impressed by the speed. It was really responsive, really, really quick to move around all the fancy, effects they added, but I was not impressed by the actual interface. I thought Windows 7 itself was a bit more cleaner, a bit nicer looking.
So far, I think Windows 7 is the best version of Windows I've ever used. And I, like you, I have some concerns about Windows 8. I don't want to judge it too harshly because, as you say, that was a technical preview. It wasn't even a beta. It wasn't even a developer release. It was a technical preview. So there's, speed-wise, performance-wise, ease of use, even the way it works is going to change. They said initially, no, it's not going to change. This is it. And then they've backed down a little bit on that as well. So we're going to see Windows 8. That will be one of the things that 2012 will bring us is a new version of Windows.
Yeah.
And it will be tablet-centric, and that's the thing that concerns me.
Yeah, well, I did want to say the big but to that is I got a large touchscreen monitor, the Dell ST2220T.
Yep.
And I plugged it up to my netbook, and I have to say it's a completely different experience.
Yes, because it's touch-focused, exactly.
Wonderful, and it's better than Windows 7 from a touch standpoint.
Right.
For that, and it's really great.
I think Microsoft is making a bet, and it might not be a bad bet, but they're making a bet that the future of computing is tablet-based.
Yeah, I hope so, because that makes life a lot easier, especially if you have a pen input. You can take notes on stuff.
Right.
Take notes of, that sort of stuff. Anyway, on to my question. I want to ask, I'm looking for some sort of Dropbox-like solution, but instead of using the cloud, I'd like to use the network-attached storage. So what I'd like to do is I have a large desktop at home, hooked to a router, which has the Mac Store central access. It's kind of old, but it's it's got 2 terabytes of storage, which is pretty reasonable. And I want to be able to basically back up the folders on my computer onto the network access drive or the NAS, and then I want to be able to see if I can remotely access the NAS from somewhere else outside, as well as if I have other computers connected on my home network connected to that NAS.
Right.
I want those changes to be updated. So let's say I have, a photo gallery. I want, if I edit on my computer, I want my dad to be able to edit it. Those home movies, they're obviously pretty big. It's a bit much to store it up in the cloud, but, if I store it on a network-attached storage, I could, bring it down to the TV without having to stream it over the internet.
So most capable network-attached storage devices should be able to do all of this. A NAS is really not a hard drive. It looks like a hard drive. It looks like a bunch of hard drives in an enclosure. But what it really is a computer. It's a headless computer. It doesn't have a keyboard, mouse, or monitor. You use the network to administer it. So you go to another computer that's on the same network as the network-attached storage, and you can administer it. So it runs an operating system. It's usually Linux. And you should check, depending on your NAS provider, the person who made it, they may provide a lot of plugins that do the kinds of things you want. So having the NAS visible on the internet, often possible using either FTP, SSH, or some combination of the above. You could have file sharing over the internet. It's, a lot of these things are a little risky. The software has to be well written, but all of this is totally doable. Who makes your network-attached storage?
It's a Maxtor, which was bought up by Seagate.
Yeah, that's less capable than others. Unfortunately, they don't give you. Do they give you some plugins that you can add?
Yeah, it comes with this Maxtor, central access, software that comes built in on it. But I'm not so keen on using like the OEM software. I usually like to install my own thing. For
well, if they this is why, for instance, people use stuff like there's a Linux distribution called FreeNAS, FREENAS, that you put on a system. It could actually be a real computer. And then you have a lot of capability because you can add your own software. You can copy. You have a lot of. You're obviously very sophisticated, Aaron. You have a lot of, I think, great ideas for how you might want to use this. You could do all of that if you have FreeNAS. The other thing that I would strongly suggest taking a look at is a company called Pogo Plug, Pogoplug. Pogoplug.com. It is an inexpensive device that you can attach any hard drive to, USB hard drive to, and then attach the network to it, and it does exactly what you want. It's basically self-hosted Dropbox. In fact, there are a lot of companies making these kinds of things. PogoPlug is the most consumer-friendly and easiest, but if you are a more sophisticated user, you might want to look at Tonido, Tonido plug. These are all running on a kind of low-cost hardware platform that can essentially run network-attached storage software, and then you attach your own hard drives to it. FreeNAS is FreeBSD. Thank you, not Linux. Thank you for the correction. They're Unix variants, either BSD or Linux. PogoPlug, I think, is pretty cool. PogoPlug is trying to get into the Dropbox business. They're even offering cloud storage as well now. So this is a great subject, Aaron. There's a lot of good solutions. Get on the internet and start searching. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I guess you had to. Every year somebody has to record Party Like It's... Started with Prince, right? Party Like It's 1999, and now somebody said this is Party Like It's 2012, the end of the world. Ragnarok, right? This is it, right? The Mayan calendar ran out in the year 2012. I saw a great cartoon. Was it Bizarro this week? Where they had the guy making the calendar. He said, I just ran out of room. I don't have any more space, but I can't wait to see what they think of it in 2012. I'm not too worried. I think we'll be here in 2013. I have a feeling. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. If you're just tuning in, our phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Of course, calls from all over the world are always welcome. If you use Skype to call that toll-free number, it won't cost you a penny. +1 888-827-5536. To Atascadero, California, we go. Don is next. Hi, Don. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. It's time for my cell phone contract to elapse, so I wanted to consult with you as I did 2 years ago. I'm probably going to give in to Sergey and Larry, but before I do, I'm entertaining some crazy ideas, one of which is running the Nokia N9. And, of course, one of the problems with that is the paucity of apps. Yeah. But I read about a company or something called Alien Dalvik, which I guess is an emulation product that allows one to run Android apps on other OSs. Could you have any advice?
Yeah, it's been an interesting challenge. The N9, which is a great phone, I happen to have one.
Oh, beautiful.
Nokia makes great hardware. Unfortunately, they also are way behind in operating systems, and that Symbian operating system on there, which I was a big fan of for many years, going back to when they first bought it. It was a Psion, Psion. I had a 3A. It was the best portable computer I ever had. It was really a precursor to the smartphone.
I think the N9 is Maimo, actually.
Oh, is it? Yeah, that's right. Well, wait a minute. No, I'm confused. Maybe I have an N8 then. So the N9 is the one and only Maimo, huh?
Right. Yeah.
So I haven't tried it. What do you think of Maimo? Have you, or you haven't bought it yet?
No, I haven't purchased it.
I have to say, I used Is it Migo?
Yes.
So confused. I had an N900, which was running another version of Linux.
Right.
Very disappointed. Not very snappy. You know, the problem, I really feel that Nokia, like RIM, the makers of the BlackBerry, kind of got sandbagged by the smartphone revolution. They made smartphones. They were the first. And they made excellent smartphones. But for some reason that I don't fully understand, they couldn't keep up. In fact, now Nokia's done a deal with Microsoft. And what we're waiting for this year, 2012, next year I guess still, is these first Nokia Windows phones, which should be very nice.
Yeah, they look nice. I considered the Windows phone, but it doesn't seem like it's oriented towards my kind of use of a cell phone.
So you're using Android now, or what are you using now?
Oh, well, you'll mock me, but I'm using Windows Mobile right now, which I like fine, but it's an old device. After 2 years in the smartphone world, that's ancient. So. Oh
yeah, and Windows Mobile, Microsoft really stumbled with that one. I think they in some ways leapfrogged everybody with Windows Phone 7. I like it a lot. I think on the Nokia hardware, it should be very good. In fact, there are some analysts who say that Microsoft's going to have, a big chunk, maybe 30% of the smartphone market in just a couple of years, based on Nokia, which is still the biggest cell phone manufacturer in the world, running Windows Phone 7. So it's going to be an interesting year for that. I'm still, though, a little skeptical about running Android apps in emulation on Maemo.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that sounds like a very good idea. Maemo, I haven't tried it, so I have to step back a little bit. My experience with the N900 was that it's just not a great operating system. Remember, Android is based on Linux. It's a Linux kernel.
Yes.
And it's running Java. All the apps are written in Java on top of a Linux kernel. So in theory, the emulation would be fine, but I'm just not sure. Do you know what the processors are in the N9?
It's a one gigabyte or
1 gigahertz.
1 gigahertz processor. I don't
single core or dual core?
I believe it's single core.
Okay.
But I think it has a fancy graphics chip too. But I believe it's single core. And I don't know if it's Snapdragon or whatever those various ones
So
are.
that's going to be the question: is there enough horsepower to run Android well?
Oh, I see.
I would get if you want to run Android, get an Android phone. I'm not sure I don't know if I really understand the.
Well, I'm just a contrarian. And,
you just want to be different. I think the N9 hardware is gorgeous.
Yeah, part of it's the hardware, part of it's
But you understand that the Lumia 900 or whatever they call it, the high-end Windows phone from Nokia, which will be out probably next month or the month after, is an N9.
Yeah, I do.
Running Windows Phone 7. That sounds pretty attractive.
But let me since we're going to Windows 7, that was my other kind of vague consideration. But again, there's an app issue there, and
well, there's what is it, 50,000 compared to 350,000.
Okay, well, I'll throw it out to the chat room. I've had a local copy of Wikipedia on a portable device since 2005, and that's like the deal breaker for me. So
isn't that a great thing, by the way? This was what science fiction always said.
I know.
Someday we will have a little portable device. I think it was in the Neuromancer. He had his little portable device, and all the world's knowledge was on this thing. Well, Wikipedia, how big is it? A couple of gigabytes? It's not very big. Minus the images.
The one I have is like 4 or something at this point.
You don't get all the images, but so 4 gigabytes for all the text. All the text in Wikipedia. It's local. You don't have to be online. You got all the text. You got basically that is the world's knowledge, and it's on your phone. I love that. I do suspect that any operating system will have something like that. Certainly, iPhone, iOS, and Android phone do have Wikipedia apps that are offline apps. I would, this is a tough one. You're obviously a geek. You're a contrarian geek. I do think for true geeks, the Android is a better choice. The Android operating system is a better choice. It's certainly miles ahead of Windows Mobile 6.5, which you've been using. Frankly, anything would be better than that. So I would say either can wait and see what the Nokia Windows Phone is, and we'll know in a month. We'll know in 2 weeks. Which allows me to give a little plug because we're going to be covering CES, the Consumer Electronics Show is coming up 2 weeks from Monday, and I'll be flying there. Actually, 2 weeks from Monday, and 1 week from Monday. Is that right? January 9th. So I will be flying there to Vegas. Now, in years past, we've done the show from the Consumer Electronics Show. That's because it is usually over a weekend. It is not this year. It's a Monday through Friday show this year. So I will not be covering it live on the radio show. We'll be in studio the following weekend. But if you want to watch live coverage, I'm bringing my entire podcast network down there. We're going to cover it end to end at TWiT, TWiT.tv. And then the following weekend, that'll be 2 weeks from today, I'll be bringing you little snippets of CES. And one thing I promised to do, Don, is bring you a hands-on review of this new Nokia phone, whatever they call it. We're not sure what they're going to call it, the Lumia 910. We don't know. But I think that's going to be a very, very interesting phone. If I had to rank smartphones right now, I'd say the iPhone 4S is absolutely the top of the line. There's things I don't like about it, but it's probably the number one phone overall. Number two is a little tricky. I like the Galaxy S2 line. If you're on Verizon, you're going to have to get a Galaxy Nexus. I am not as fond of the Android version that they're using, the new ice cream sandwich. In fact, I think there's a good maybe a good reason to go out and get an Android phone with buttons now is because Google's phasing the buttons out. They're all going to be on screen. And I happen to like buttons that don't move around at will. I just think that's just crazy. Who thinks that's a good use? Playing whack-a-mole with the user interface is good user interface design. I don't understand why Google's thinking this. On an Android phone, if you go out and get a Galaxy S2, which is my favorite right now, same thing on a Windows phone. There's buttons. They may be physical, or they may just be painted on, or they may be light up buttons. But they're buttons on the phone, and then the screen is above the buttons, and those buttons don't move. They're always there. Your hand goes right to them. On the new Android phones, starting with the Galaxy Nexus, the ice cream sandwich, those buttons are on screen and they move. They change. Sometimes they're on the top. Sometimes they're on the bottom. You don't know where they are. I don't like that. That's a dumb idea. So now is a good time, probably, to buy an Android phone with physical buttons, or at least buttons that are on off the screen. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. It's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, home theater, all that stuff at 8888 Ask Leo, our year-end episode, last show of 2011. 8888 Ask Leo. I saw Hugo, not the hurricane, the movie, the other day. In 3D. Oy, caramba. Now, I know we've had this battle, and Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, I'll talk to him tomorrow about this because he's going to be on as usual. But and by the way, thank you, Scott, for filling in on Christmas Eve last week. But I just got to say, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. You go to the theater, they give you these glasses. I know somebody's cleaned them, I presume. They're in plastic. They're wrapped. But they're schmudged. They got stuff on them. I put them on. I go in the movie. The movie's dim anyway because that's the nature of 3D. It's half the brightness. The screen is half as bright. And there's a smudge on it. And I wear glasses when I go to the movies so I can see. So I'm wearing glasses on top of my glasses. So thank goodness it's dark because I look like an idiot. And then what is in 3D in Hugo? There's some snowflakes. And, when the dog looks at you, he's really real. And that's it. I don't get it. I'm missing something. I just don't get it. And then, of course, I'm in the theater, and, exciting. They're going to re-release Titanic and Star Wars Phantom Menace, Episode 1, in 3D. Well, thank goodness, because I tell you what, those movies were so bad in 2D, maybe 3D will say, I don't understand it. They're re-releasing Star Wars Episode 1 and the Titanic in 3D. You know what? I think I think George Lucas wants Jar Jar Binks in 3D. He thinks that might save it. If you could just see him as he really is, a giant menacing rubber puppet, then you would enjoy the movie more. I don't understand. I guess it's a sign I'm getting old. David in California. Hi, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Hey, I got a couple questions about a Mac on my desk. I'm a teacher. I teach high school visual arts and photography.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And I have this new beautiful 27-incher, and I want to get a separate monitor so I can kind of monitor what they're doing. I went ahead and bought a remote desktop.
Okay.
As something that I can kind of help them through it and watch what they're doing.
Yeah, Apple does have some very good abilities to do this, so that you can have another screen that has little screens on it of all the students, and you can zoom in on any one. That's great.
All right, now tell me this though: do I have to buy a monitor, or can I buy an actual TV that has both a connection to go from my computer and also from my cable company, so I can have TV on it sometimes and monitor what they're doing on it sometimes.
I think it'd be easier to go the other way, which is to get an Apple monitor, because you have the DisplayPort on this new iMac.
Right.
And the mini DisplayPort will support another monitor very easily. You just plug it in, and you'll have dual monitors. And then you get a little TV tuner that you plug into it, that you plug the cable in. And in fact, you can have a TV window, all the students, and be watching the soaps at the same time.
So just a standard, little Samsung monitor or something like that with
it's easiest to use the Apple monitor, but I understand they're premium priced.
Oh yeah.
So that's. But as long as it will support the mini DisplayPort, and mini DisplayPort, if all you're doing is video, it's very easy to get a mini DisplayPort to HDMI cable. So any monitor that supported HDMI would work just fine. And then your Mac could be the television set. You just get a little adapter for the Mac iTV, EYE TV from Elgato, ELGATO.com. They're great. And it's a USB device. You plug it in, you plug the cable into it, and then you have a cable tuner and all that stuff. I think it's fairly simple to do. And the chat room is reminding me, and you're absolutely right, Mac Tech. Don't buy the Apple adapters. Don't buy the expensive adapters when you buy the monitor from the company. Just go to monoprice.com. They make all of these adapters, all of these cables. It's the best place to buy cables because they don't overprice them. They're really inexpensive, and they don't need to be fancy or expensive. I see Dick DiBartolo has joined us in the chat room, our gadget guru, the Giz Wiz. He'll be on in just a little bit, 47 and a half after the hour. But let's get back to the phone. Stuart in Irvine. By the way, I always want to say this. Thank you for being a teacher, David. It's such an important job, and it's so often underrated, and I know you're underpaid, and just thank you, because it is the most important job that's done today, I think, is teaching. You're teaching photography and visual arts to these kids. You're getting them excited about that. It's a great time to become a photographer right now, I'll tell you. And it's a great expressive hobby. If maybe you don't do it for a living, but what a great hobby to have. Really fulfill your needs to create an artistic expression. Stuart in Irvine, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Stuart.
Leo, I've been listening to you or watching you since the Tech TV days.
Oh, thank you.
I've learned so much from you. It's incredible.
I've gone gray just doing this thing.
I've been gone gray listening to you and watching you.
Thank you.
So generally, I don't like Apple products. I like to monkey around with apps and scripts and crazy things like that. And I realize that iPads are really for media consumption more than creation.
Yeah, you're not going to do any programming or scripting on an iPad.
Right. So with that said, though, because it's more for consumption anyway, all tablets, I guess, really, I think.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going. In fact, I think that's the exact distinction, really, between desktops and iPads. Steve Jobs said it at this year, in fact, at the All Things D conference. He said, look, the computers today are trucks. Think of them as trucks. You're always going to need trucks, but most people will not drive a truck. They'll be driving something that's more convenient. They'll be using a tablet for their day-to-day computing, and then those of us who want to program or do video editing, photographs, things like that, we'll have to buy trucks.
So when I travel remotely, and I travel a lot for work, I use remote desktop connection using Windows to Windows, obviously.
Yep.
Should I even just give up on thinking about an Android or a Microsoft product tablet that will do that, or am I asking for too much? I know those have USB ports and all sorts of fun things like that, but am I wasting my time trying to even use it for connectivity purposes? I
wouldn't go Android, but I would certainly look at a Windows tablet. There are a number of Windows 7 tablets out now, and there will be next week when we go to CES. I expect to see a dozen or more Windows 8 tablet announcements. You won't be able to buy them yet, of course, but I think that's absolutely a good way to go, because you'll have the capabilities of Windows on that tablet, including remote desktop.
But when I remote desktop in, it'll be into a non-touch screen environment on my work.
Well, they translate, and you'll see they translate it. So, obviously you don't have a mouse, you don't even have a keyboard on your tablet, but they provide you with a virtual mouse and a virtual keyboard.
I see. So you think if I like that experience, I should wait, see what happens?
Yeah. Although, as I said, there are good Windows 7 tablets out right now. Asus and others make them, and I wouldn't hold back if you really needed it right now. But if you can wait even a week, in fact, everybody listening, don't buy any stuff, any consumer electronics stuff right now, because in a week, all of these announcements will happen at CES. The thing to remember is that the Consumer Electronics Show announcements there are often for products that won't be out till a year from now. But you'll get some idea what the landscape's going to be, and that can be very helpful.
And for apps, I assume there's at least as of now, there's not much in terms of Microsoft tablet apps.
Well, the nice thing about these Microsoft tablets, they run Windows apps.
I see.
So they're Windows 7. So it is a tablet, but it's also a Windows 7 device. Windows 8 will even be more so, although there's some question about whether Windows 8 tablets will run desktop apps. We're waiting to hear the truth from Microsoft. I think that we'll find that out next week as well. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Guess you better slow your Mustang.
Good God. Now, there is a reason why Kyle is playing this song. But no one knows it except me. Kyle Benham is our musical director, picks all the songs that we play as we come back from commercials, and makes that playlist available on his Google Plus account. He's Kyle Benham, Benham on Google Plus. If you're on Google Plus, you can just find him there. And then what happens is, of course, James Deruvo, who's doing our show notes and puts it on Tech Guy Labs, he'll just copy it and put it on Tech Guy Labs too. Mustang Sally, because I drive a Mustang. And he obviously heard me go, oh, my goodness, there goes the meter maid. Quick, move my car. Thank you, Alex. Alex, move my car. Cheryl in Bellflower, California, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Leo. I hope the new year finds you and your family well.
Thank you.
And I'd like to ask you a very technical, intellectual question, but unfortunately I'm challenged.
Good, because I'm tired.
Okay. I want to put a smaller TV in my kitchen, which I'm having remodeled.
Okay.
And I'm trying to find an easy way to pick up the signal from the bedroom television.
Right. You don't want to have to get the cable guy come out.
Not Verizon, and I have a comment there to ask your listeners, too.
Okay.
To see if they had the same thing happen to them that happened to me.
So you have Fios?
Yes.
Well, hey, don't knock it. There's a lot of people who would kill to get Fios because the bandwidth, the internet bandwidth is quite good on the Fios.
I don't even use it. I mean...
Yeah. No, a lot of people complain. I hear complaints. Verizon Television is certainly not as good as, say, cable, is what I hear. I don't have it. I'd be thrilled to try it.
They changed their menu, and when they did, we have a 47-inch in the living room and a 32 in the bedroom, and we lost on about half the channels, like 4 inches of the top of the screen and 4 inches off the bottom.
That's not good.
And the bigger your TV is, the more you lose.
Well, there are a couple of ways you could do this. For instance, you might not want to put a TV in the kitchen. One thing I would consider is putting an iPad in there. And
really?
then you could put the Slingbox app on the iPad and put a Slingbox on your home system and use the Wi-Fi, and you would have access to your full home system with no additional charge on your iPad in the kitchen. Now, it's only, it's little. It might be too little for you. It's only 10 inches.
Yeah, I was thinking more like 15.
You want something a little bit bigger. Let me think here. You could put a TV in there. There are kind of old school analog solutions to do this, which would it's called the Wavecom Junior. It's been around for a couple of decades. It's RF radio. So you put one, you get them in pairs. You put one on your TV system, and then you put one. It's the problem is it's going to be ugly. I guess you could put it in the cabinetry or something, but put that in the kitchen attached to a television set, and then that television set receives wirelessly your television system. I got to tell you, it doesn't work that well. There is, in fact, I haven't reviewed it yet. I just got one. There is a box out now that's wireless HDMI. This is probably your best solution. They're not cheap. In fact, I don't even remember the manufacturer of this. I have to review it. I have it at home. I apologize. I haven't reviewed it yet, but I have it at home, and I will review it. I'll do it by next weekend. I'll have a review for you. But the idea of this is you put this in your home theater system. You put one end. There's a little dongle in your home theater system on the HDMI. It could be the cable box or whatever. And then you put the other end in your kitchen attached to a television using HDMI. Now, in effect, you've got a really long HDMI cable coming out of your cable box. Here are some of the issues. Changing the channel. You're going to be in the kitchen. You're going to have to go into the living room, change the channel, and go back in the kitchen. Now, that might be all right for you. You're watching Oprah in the living room. You get up. You have it on in the kitchen. That's fine. And they do make remote controls. Logitech and others make remote controls that will go, that are wireless but aren't infrared based. They're RF based, which means they go through walls. That's the problem with your standard cable remote control and television remote control is it's light, so you have to aim it at the television or the cable box, and you have to be in line of sight. You can't be a wall in between you. So changing the channel is going to be a little tricky. You're going to have to do some sort of thing about that. I think wireless HDMI is probably the right way to do it, and I will have a review of that unit. But the other choice would be the Slingbox, and I think an iPad with a Slingbox, that's going to be really easy. It's going to work. We know it's going to work well because we do it all the time. And, I see a lot of people building iPads into their refrigerators, their cabinetry. It's a pretty easy thing to do. It's no more expensive than a television. And then not only do you get TV, but you got an iPad in there. So you can have cooking applications. It could be your cookbook. I would consider that, Cheryl. I think that's kind of a cool way to do it. And I think a lot of people are doing those things. It's just, it's 10 inches. It's not super big. Strike It Rich in our chat room is telling me that there is a fix for it. We'll just give you a freebie here. For your Verizon issue, when Verizon updated the guide, it was an SD guide, standard definition, and they went to HD. So what's happening is your television is staying at the SD resolution, and that's why some of it's off the screen. Now, if you've set the TV to be zoomed because you mostly watch standard definition programming, I Love Lucy or whatever, and you want it to fill the screen, don't. Go back into your settings on your television set and say, I want what essentially you're saying is I want the native resolution. Whatever I'm getting, display it dot for dot. Sometimes they call it dot by dot in the settings on my screen, and that will make the Verizon guide work just fine. In fact, it'll look gorgeous. It'll be high def. What you may not be happy about is standard definition programming. If you're watching a lot of that, you'll have black bars because the picture won't fill the screen anymore. I suspect that's what it is. And so does the chat room. 8888 Ask Leo. Michael in California. He's next. Let's say hello. Michael. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Michael. How are you?
I'm the 5 guy. Am I breaking up?
No, you sound fine. What can I do for you?
Hey, I've had a MacBook Pro for many years. I love Photo Booth, and I'm trying to use the backdrops. So you drop video into the back, and you can put any video you want behind there.
Yeah.
And I've been able to put a .mov in there or a .avi, and I've been trying to research all the Apple pages, and I just can't find what's the best format to put in there that's going to give me the best picture quality in the background.
You're going to want a .mov, a QuickTime movie file. That'll give you the best results. And the truth is, any well-recorded video should work just fine. Are you having trouble with some of the video?
No, I'm just trying to get the best quality. I got Photoshop Pro, Photoshop 10, or not Photoshop, Final Cut 10, and I could pick any one of these video formats to put it in there. I just wondered what was the best one.
Yeah. QuickTime is .mov. That's the native Apple format. That's guaranteed to work. And just choose the highest quality that you can to get the best results. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hammer time. Leo, I was playing with the photo booth during the break. Michael asked us what's the best video to use for backdrop. Apple uses QuickTime Movies, But really, I think I'm going to guess here, but I bet you what Michael was worried about, or was an issue with Michael, is the quality, not of the movie behind him, but of the overlay of him on top of the movie. And frankly, that's kind of hard to do well because, I mean, if you think about what Apple's doing here, the way it works, Photo Booth, which is a program that comes with all the new Macs, has for some time. What you'll do is you'll pick a video background effect, and then Photo Booth will say, okay, now get out of the picture. So you step out of the picture, and what it does is it captures the background. And it says, okay, good, I know the background. I'm going to replace that with the movie. And depending on the complexity of the background, it'll do a better or worse job of that. So really, it's not the quality of the movie that makes the difference in how well this overlay effect works. It's the background. It would work best if you had a green screen, a backdrop. Just hang a sheet up so that it fills the frame, and so that when you step out, there's nothing but that color of that sheet. That will make it much better and much easier for the computer to do what it's going to do, which is replace that color. It's called keying that color out. So and that's by the way how weathermen do it. The weather girls do it on TV. You have a green screen. The weather, what do you call it? Weather person. The weather operator is standing in front of a green screen. It looks like there's a map there, but really what it is just a green color, a solid green color. It can be blue. We used to call it blue screen. Nowadays they mostly use green. And they use a particularly ugly shade of green, a shade of green that doesn't occur in real life, if possible. The idea being, anytime the camera sees that green, it replaces it. It keys it out with the weather map. So you're doing the same thing with Photo Booth, but you're doing it kind of on the fly with consumer electronics gear. It's really amazing, and it works at all. But it works best if you'll have a simple, single-color backdrop. So I suspect that's more what Michael wanted to know rather than what the quality of the movie is. If the movie will look, fine as long as it looks good on a computer, it'll look fine. It's the quality of the key that matters. Joseph, Nashville, Tennessee. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hi, welcome.
I was listening to your comments earlier to the caller wanting to know about what new cell phone he should
Yes.
And being a Galaxy Nexus owner, took a little exception to...
Oh, you're not the only one. Okay, so let's talk about this, and I'm glad you called. I'm really glad you called. So the hottest phone out right now, I just want to give him some background, Joseph, then I'll let you talk. The hottest phone out right now, and it's on Verizon, is the Galaxy Nexus. And it's the only phone right now using the latest version of Android, which is Android 4.0. The code name was Ice Cream Sandwich. It also is a very big screen, 4.6 inches. It has very high resolution, 1280 by 720. That's high def. And it runs Verizon's LTE, which is its high-speed 4G network. So those are the reasons people want to buy this phone. It's the top-of-the-line Android phone out there right now. And you paid a lot for it, didn't you, Joseph?
I did. I paid a lot for it.
$300.
Yes, but I got it the first day. I wanted it, so...
So now, I've been very negative on this phone. I've been negative for a couple of reasons. One, I don't like Ice Cream Sandwich. What you heard me talking about earlier was the fact that the buttons are on screen now. Google's decided to eliminate hardware buttons and put them on the screen. Of course, it makes the phone much cheaper to manufacture. You don't have to have buttons. And it gives programmers the ability to move the buttons around. And that's why I don't like it, because it's kind of an inconsistent user interface. The other thing, as long as we're talking, the other things I don't like about the Nexus is the display. In order to get that high resolution there, Samsung's using something called Pentile, which is a sub-pixel rendering display that, in my opinion, looks grainy. It has a lot of color noise on it, and I just don't like the look of the display. Bad battery life would be another reason not to like it. Although, Samsung for $50 sells, and I got it, an extended battery. It's fatter, and it gives you about 50% more battery life, and without making the phone a whole lot bigger. So it is possible to fix that one. So tell me how much you like this phone.
Well, there's several reasons, but we'll cover the three that you just did. First of all, I'm a long-time Android user. I've also used iPhones and iPods. The only advantage I see to an iPhone or an iPod over an Android phone now is, one, the proprietary connector, and using the same design for over a year allows them to get a lot more accessories and apps and stuff that are devoted to the phone. I thought Google was finally going to come to grips with this and do it right and release the Galaxy Nexus where it would be the same on GSM, LTE, and everything, but instead they made the LTE version a 0.5 millimeter thicker.
I know. I have the GSM version. I bought that Samsung battery. It doesn't fit.
I don't know why they wouldn't just make it a 0.5 millimeter thicker.
Well, Joseph, you got to understand it's a very different marketplace. The Android marketplace, and the truth is the real advantage Apple has is it's the only manufacturer of this phone. It controls it very tightly. There are dozens of models of Android phone, and they're all over the place. Apple makes one iPhone. Well, they make a couple because you could still buy a 3GS. They control the release. They control everything. And they have such leverage with the carriers because it's such a hot phone that unlike Google, they can really assert themselves with the carriers. You can buy an Android. If you bought an Android phone last year, the chances that you have the latest version of the operating system or will ever get it are very slim.
Now, Google could have done a lot better by making just one.
No, they can't. They can't. They don't control it because it's an open source operating system. That's why Amazon, for instance, could use Android on the Fire without even mentioning Google.
But they control the Nexus because that's their phone.
Yeah, they could have made the Nexus better in a lot of ways. I agree.
As far as the on-screen buttons, that is not how Google is going. That's just how they combine the tablet UI and the phone UI. But they will still have all kinds of Android phones coming out in the future with capacitive buttons.
No, they won't. No, they won't. No, they won't. No, they won't. They've said okay, let's put it this way. Google doesn't control it, so you're probably right. But Google is very clear. They want all Android phones to have soft buttons. They do not want capacitive buttons on the phones. They're very clear about that.
If the manufacturers decide to put capacitive buttons
they have no, exactly. But I'll tell you why they won't. Costs more. So unless customers say, hey, I've got to have those buttons, which they won't, you're not going to see them. So it's one of the reasons I tell people go out and get a Galaxy S2 now because it's the end of buttons.
Well, I do love the Galaxy S2s. I've used all of them. I have 6 Android phones. I have them from the Thunderbolt, the Fascinate, the Incredible. I've got every phone that you can think of. And I can tell you that the on-screen buttons has not even been an issue whatsoever. I did not like the look of Ice Cream Sandwich when I first seen it. Still don't like the big icons of your contacts and all that stuff.
It's hideous.
But the on-screen buttons have not been a problem whatsoever. And the Pentile screen is not like the Pentile screen that you saw on the Motorola's, the original Motorola's. You cannot.
But Joseph, maybe you don't know. I have a Galaxy Nexus. It's the phone I've been using for the last 3 weeks since it came out. I have had every Android phone that has ever come out, including starting with a G1. So I'm very familiar with this phone. I do not like the Pentile display. I do not like it one bit. Now, I seem to be the only person in the world who sees this color noise. So maybe it's just me, but it really is ugly. It is not a good. The S2, which uses a different form of Pentile, uses a banding Pentile, not the subpixel green, looks much better in my opinion. But we can disagree. And you know what, Joseph? The truth is most reviewers are agreeing with you. They love the Galaxy Nexus.
Well, I personally, I've had many Android phones, and I just think it's the best one.
I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you got it. And I think that, truthfully, people should probably not listen to me because people who have gone off and bought that phone just do, in general, seem to be very happy. Which baffles me because I just don't think it's a very good phone.
Well, I think also once all my Android phones are rooted and have different ROMs installed on them, once people do that,
Leo, we got a break.
A lot more flexibility. And,
all right. I got to run. I thank you for the call. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, it's our theme song.
Just
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, coming to you from the mighty TWiT Brick House. That's what we call our studios. And here's the guy who gave it the name, Mr. Dick D. Bartolo, the Gizwiz. Hey, Dickie D.
Leo, how are you?
I'm very well. You know, we did a best of the Gizwiz this week.
Yes.
And among other things in the best of was the moment when I said, we're moving to new studios, Dick, and I need a name. And you just, you're so good. Dick, perhaps people don't know, you ought to, is Dick D. Bartolo. He is Mad Magazine's maddest writer. For 40 years, he's been writing for Mad Magazine. So he is a wordsmith.
Yes.
And he said, well, you should call it the Brick TWiT House, because TWiT's the name of the podcast. I said, hey, brilliant, because we got bricks on the front, we got bricks on the wall, we got bricks donated by our listeners and viewers, and so that makes perfect sense. I think it's a great name. Welcome.
Good.
Welcome to the TWiT Brick House. So how have you been? Happy New Year. I didn't see you. Did you have a good Christmas?
Christmas was good. Did you have snow where you went to the mountains?
No, I went to, we went to Stockbridge, Massachusetts. It's Berkshires, yeah. Beautiful. No snow, zero, zip. Did you get snow in New York?
Oh, no, it was like 50 degrees.
Yeah.
They're expecting 1 million people tonight at Times Square because it's going to be only 45 degrees.
Oh, you don't do, everybody I know who lives in Manhattan stays as well away from the Times Square area during New Year's Eve as they can.
Leo, I sent a note that I wouldn't be there, and I hope they got it. Because
they're going to be
so
missing
embarrassed
you. Yeah.
if they hold the ball up, going, where is he? Where is he? We've got to drop the ball.
I think most people do it via TV. Does Dick Clark still do that? Probably not. It's probably Ryan Seacrest now, right? Who does?
No, he
that?
still does.
Dick
For the
Clark
countdown, he still does it.
Wow.
He still does it. I go to Central Park and I watch fireworks.
That's fun.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have a great New Year's Eve.
Thank you, sir.
Now, as usual, Dick will join us every week to talk about a gadget or some other thing, because he does a show on my podcast network called the Weekly Daily Gizwiz, in which we talk about gadgets. Do you have one for us today?
Yes, we are.
Oh. What is your gadget today?
Our gadget, there's a lot of breakup today, which is why.
I'm sorry. Okay, yes.
No, that's okay.
I'll just listen.
Okay.
You talk, I'll listen.
Oh, okay. Well, you will scoff at this, as is your want, but I've told people about it, and people expressed mild interest. Okay? All right. So it's very easy to lose the remote control.
Yes.
And when you lose it, the first thing you do is look behind the pillows to see if it's there.
Right.
What if the pillow was the remote control?
Well, then you'd lose the pillow.
Yeah, well, no, it's harder to lose a pillow.
Okay.
So Brookstone has the pillow remote control. It's a 6-in-1 universal remote control. You can program up to 6 devices. The front of the pillow has all the keys on it. It can bring up your data guide. It can fast forward through movies. Programming it is a bit of a nightmare, but I can save you a lot of grief. In the instruction book, it doesn't tell you. You must hit the little button called activate before you program it. So remember to do that. It's $40. It's, even though it's from Brookstone, I got mine at Bed Bath & Beyond, $39.99. And you can even sleep on it, because if you don't use it for 1 minute, it goes into auto shut off. I mean, I don't think you use it to actually put your head on it, but it's kind of clever, and it has universal learning, so it can pretty much control any of your devises.
Is there some strange guy wandering around in your apartment right now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything. Somebody just put a party hat on. I guess you're getting ready.
Yes. Well, you know what he wanted? Dennis came down and said, "It's New Year's Eve. Shouldn't you be wearing a hat?"
There you go.
So
That's good.
And he got me.
You guys, you do know this is radio, right?
Yeah.
So let me just describe the fact that he's wearing a party hat.
A party hat.
I guess that's all I have to say.
Leo, I throw myself into all these things. Radio, television, no matter what it is, I am always fully into the occasion.
Where do I get this remote control pillow?
Bed Bath & Beyond.
Really?
Has it, or Brookstone has it too. $39.99.
Is it lumpy?
It's not lumpy. Well, you know what, Leo? It is a little lumpy because it has like 16 buttons on the front.
Right.
It's more of a novelty, but it does work.
Awesome.
and it is hard to lose.
Dick, go nowhere. We will be doing the weekly Daily Gizwiz in just a few minutes when the radio show ends. So hang in there.
Be here.
All right, and you can catch Dick on his website gizwiz.biz. In fact, when you go there, make sure you play the What the Heck Is It contest. You get a close-up picture of some thing, a piece of a gadget or something. Right now, I don't know what it is. Some sort of green, I don't know what, it looks like a Smurf toilet seat. I don't know what it is. But if you could figure out what it is, you can get an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. 12 Mad Magazines for the right answer, 24 for the wrong answer. So you have a pretty good shot at getting a Mad Magazine. Gizwiz.biz. We're going to take a break, come back. We have time for a couple more calls before I wrap this thing up. Our last show of the year. Tomorrow, if you do listen, we'll be talking about my predictions for 2012. One of the things people want to know is iPad and iPhone for 2012. What are we going to see? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Brian in Chicago. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So I had a question. I've got a lot of video on a PC that was recorded either from a VCR or from a TiVo into MPEG-2 format. And I've got a Mac. When I try to edit that video on a Mac, I know the Macs will not edit MPEG-2, so I've been converting it to like DV videos or MPEG-4, and I just can't get the quality to look the same. I'm just wondering if there's something I'm doing wrong or some different software that I can use just to try and get that same quality.
Yeah, I mean, it should look the same. MPEG-2 is not a super high-quality format, understand, but it is the format used on DVDs. It's not high def. It's 480p.
Okay, yeah, so when I put it on the Mac, I seem to get it comes out looking kind of, it doesn't look as smooth.
Jaggedy, yeah. What do you use to convert it on the Mac?
MPEG Streamclip.
You might. I'll tell you what I would recommend, and that I use called. It's a program called Handbrake.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's free. Handbrake.fr, and what you need is a program that will let you turn all the settings up to maximum.
Okay.
So it should look the same as an MPEG-2 image. It shouldn't look any worse than the MPEG-2 that you're seeing on your PC. But probably what's happening is that the converter you're using is lowering the quality to make the file size smaller. So turn all the settings up to max, the maximum bit rate, maximum quality, all of that. Now, Atlanta Jim's saying MPEG Streamclip's really good, so you might not need to do anything but just look in the settings of MPEG Streamclip and make sure. One of the things that one of the settings people often don't overlook is the bit rate. How many bits per second? Turn that up as high as you can go.
Yeah, well, I think it's got where you can type it in. I mean, what is good? I've tried different ones. I've tried 1,000. I've tried 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000 is plenty. That's 5 megabits a second. Well, no, maybe go higher. I don't know. Try 20. Try the highest number to let you put in there. The point is, you don't want it to lower the quality. It's not going to make it any higher quality than it has to, but you just don't want it to lower the quality.
Right, and then try and get rid of that blockiness and.
Yeah. Well, MPEG tends to have that's a artifact that happens in MPEG due to the way it encodes. They call it MPEG blocking, and you shouldn't. If you don't see it on the original, you shouldn't see it on the conversion, though. Hey, I got to run. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. I'll tell you what. If you want to know more, go to the website. We always have a lot of information there. James DeRuvo's writing it all down. TechGuyLabs.com. This is episode 833, and you'll also find links to the chat and our podcasts and more, including video of this show, because we make a video and audio podcast available. Have a great New Year's Eve, all right? Stay safe, please, because I can't afford to lose even a single listener. And we'll see you next time. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.